Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K, and it is time for another DLC review. And normally, I really frown upon doing a lot of prequel work, because for me, if prequels are done right, they can give you a lot of exposition and context to the story in question. A good example of this is the previous Life is Strange prequel DLC, Before the Storm, which tackled Chloe's life after her father died and after Max left, upon meeting Rachel Amber and the antics that would ensue. Now, I'm going to be honest. I never did Before the Storm DLC review because it's been a good number of years, and it's still one of my favorite DLC sets to date. And if I had to have ranked it, it would have been a straight up 8 out of 10. Because, yeah, we know what happens a little bit, so it kind of negates what we're doing, you know? Because it's almost like if you know the ending, going through, I mean, you're still going to enjoy it, but you still know the outcome. So, stuff like that, it kind of downplays prequels for me. So that's why I kind of stay away from them as much as possible. But here, for Life is Strange True Colors, before we get to our True Colors, Wavelengths is by far one of the shortest DLCs I've ever played, minus the Benedict Arnold mission that was only 45 minutes! But overall, let's dive into this pretty good story, and let's see how it goes. First off, Wavelengths takes place via Steph's eyes, her first year at Haven Springs, Colorado. And all honesty, I love it. I'm really glad that we didn't do something with Alex again, because we have an entire 5-episode game with her. So focusing on Steph, and I'm going to be honest, from Before the Storm, she was my favorite side character. I love that she was a nerd. I love that, like Chloe, she had a sort of a thing for Rachel, but I'm glad that that Chloe and Rachel ended up together, obviously. And all honesty, after seeing that, I was wondering what. And then I remember that this was years before the main focus of the main game of Life is Strange. And I'm gonna be legitimately honest. When I saw the trailer for True Colors, and I saw that Steph Gingrich was coming back as a main side character, I almost lost it. Because Steph is such a great character. She's a dork. She's very open. She cares about everyone. And that's what everyone needs in a great character. So, where does Wavelengths take place? Well, unfortunately, unlike it's basically a prequel linear DLC story. Like, it's nothing. I mean, also it will add a couple extra outfits for Life is Strange True Colors whenever you guys want to replay the game. It's got different clothing for Alex that is inspired by Life is Strange characters, such as Rachel, Chloe, Max, Daniel, and I can't remember the brother's name. I can't remember. I didn't play the game, but they have those for those characters, which I think is a good inspirational DLC for a little bit. I mean, it's anyway, going forward, it is very linear, but it's a good kind of linear. But basically, it follows Steph through her first year at, like I said, in Colorado, and we're basically in the record shop all the time, because that's part of the job as well, being a DJ and also running the record store. So in the first, and it's all of 4 chapters, and I know that may seem like, oh, it's 4 chapters, so, and yeah, it's, again, it plays you with the 4 chapters, but it's basically just 4 times of the year. We've got when she first moves in the spring, to Pride Month in the summer, then Halloween, and then New Year's, which, all honestly, I kind of enjoy that. Throughout the game, we see Steph going through her own personal form of baggage from And honestly, one thing I love about this DLC is it kind of fits with some of the emotional collectibles that we find throughout the main game of True Colors. And we kind of figure stuff happened, and this kind of elevates it and gives us more context on it. For example, Steph breaking up with her girlfriend Izzy, but because she moves to Colorado and things happened. And later on, it showed Steph's missing Rachel and Chloe. Also, depending on what you chose to do, I mean, you can say what you did, either if you destroyed Arcadia Bay and saved Chloe, or if you sacrificed Chloe and that happened. Different things will happen. Like, have you heard from Max or Chloe, and just talking about the funeral with her old friend. I can't remember his name. The kid who gets injured, or the one kid that I can't remember the name. I'm hating that I'm blanking on names right now, because that's usually what I'm good at. But overall, it's still a fun DLC, and you get to explore Steph's emotions like that, because that is what I believe the Life is Strange True Colors series does well, is making everyone connect with the emotions of the character and legitimately feeling it. Because I hate it when characters have this one particular emotion that's caked onto them, but what should be feeling naturally. And this game does it too. Like, I felt upset a good number of times because I love Steph, because I feel the emotion that she's going through from being in a new town, losing a relationship with friends, missing people, a little bit of PTSD in the October section, because it's all about what happened around Arcadia Bay at the time of Halloween, including Chloe's death, Rachel's disappearance, Mark Jefferson. They even throw that in a little bit. But overall, the emotional range in this game is very well done. So I do give it points for that. Now, what do we do in this game, you may ask? Well, we do have to manage the record store, and going around the record store, we can find a couple things to talk about and explore. We find out how Rachel found Valkyrie, for those of you who don't know, is the pet cat at the shop, and I love it. It's kind of fun that she was just a little pest in the walls of the store. And, I mean, we don't see Valkyrie at all in the game, which I don't get why, but also we will have to do the DJ booth, which involves sponsoring local businesses and, of course, taking calls with viewer help. And the way she does this is she'll roll her 20-sided die, and it's a preset scenario, and it's up to you to decide if it should be good advice or bad advice. Basically, it's just fortune telling in a radio station, which is honestly pretty cool. Helping people through their situations while Steph is going through her own situations. It's really well done, and it shows how people who are going through the worst can help you a lot. Can help people a lot. And also, the soundtrack in the game is very, very awesome. A good majority of the songs, you get to pick what you want to play in each season from different records in the DJ booth. And you can spend as much time as you want before you progress through the next chapter. So, there's not a big hindrance on you going through quickly, but you will want to explore a lot more, and honestly, it's pretty well done. And there's not that many things to figure out. The only one thing I can think of is in chapter 3, when we have to unlock the cage in the back where records are, that pre-orders, and the clue to unlocking it is throughout a good majority of the records, like number of skulls, number of this symbol on the album, which I think was a pretty clever puzzle. There's only one puzzle like that, so it kind of dies down a little bit. And throughout this game, there's also a dating app on Steph's phone, and like in the other phones, you can see her previous conversations with previous characters that we don't know anything about from Arcadia Bay. And it just goes to show that of what Steph really went through this whole thing. Not just the Arcadia Bay uh, the Arcadia Bay issue, but just moving to Colorado by herself and having literally no one around her. And going back to the dating app, it is pretty fun just to swipe right, swipe left, and then you get to conversate with the people that you do pick. You can only do it a couple times each episode, and it really, really works. I love it. If I had to nitpick, and I nitpick a lot, the only thing that would have been a little bit better is if, I mean, okay, yes, we're stuck in the DJ booth and in the record shop, which, all honesty, I'm okay with. Sometimes DLCs go a little too far and have you doing too much in so short of time that you feel like it was just like it's almost like a box that you know you can't fit anything more in it, but you try to shove it down and try to make it fit more than is actually necessary or logical. So keeping Steph in the record shop and the DJ booth definitely helps. It makes everything a little bit more linear, but it still makes it feel like this is her own space and where she's dealing with all of her issues, and I love it. But again, my only criticism is, I mean, could we not have had the characters from True Colors come in and talk with her instead of just getting it through texts? And I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm going to explain this from when I review True Colors next year. Couldn't we had like Ethan? I mean, there's a drawing on the wall of Ethan, and every time Steph adds something, Ethan will add something, and it's just that colorful commentary that makes them a really cool duo, like the friendship there. But again, why aren't the characters coming into the record shop to speak with Steph? Stephanie's literally the only character there, but it would have been so cool to see her actually interact with some of the other characters, like Charlotte, Jed, Ducky, Ryan, even Riley and Eleanor. Come on. Like, this was a prime time to have Steph feel out new people and actually, have some dialogue outside of the DJ booth. And also, for God's sake, we were told that her and Alex were best friends, and yet we don't see none of it, which is kind of shocking a little bit. I mean, couldn't we have had that one little bit where they played foosball, like the section in the main game where we have to help Steph through her sorrow, playing foosball? Couldn't we have gotten that a little bit? I mean, I'm just saying, it's a small gripe, but it's a gripe nonetheless that kind of makes you want a little bit more. And also, I gotta give it to the voice actress, Katie Bentz. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. Forgive me. Who actually played this and the main game on her YouTube channel. She played all the Life is Strange games on her YouTube channel. Go check her out. She's just like Stephanie. I swear to God. Like, every time she talks, I hear Steph. And it's so uncanny. But she did another amazing, amazing job. From Before the Storm, she was a side character, to here, she became a main side character, to here, she became the main focus of her own game. I can't thank her enough for this amazing, amazing character, this amazing series, and this amazing DLC. I applaud Katie Bentz and the entire crew of Deck 9 for making this series what it is. I always thought Life is Strange was going to be a flash in the pan, but what turned out to be an epic center journey. it became this grand design that honestly, I can't wait for the next chapter. And for the love of God, please let it continue with the characters from True Colors, because I want to see more of them. I want to keep going with this. So going off of that, Katie does an exemplary performance in this, and I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, with most actors, especially in video games, you can kind of tell when they're phoning in the emotional scenes. You know, it's not as epic. It's not, you don't feel it. But here, you wholeheartedly feel every little bit of emotion in this DLC. And I got sad at times because it's feeling alone, wanting to shut the world out because of your own issues. People, I felt that. So many people have felt that. And this game definitely shows that people need others in order to survive, in order to get through the issue. And I love this game, and I love this DLC for that immensely. Now, big issue with this is that the whole DLC of Wavelengths, plus the extra outfits for the main game, is about $17. But I will say this, and the DLC is only about 2 to 3 hours long. If you're going through everything, if you want to constantly, there's no trophies in this DLC, which, all honestly, I was kind of disappointed with, because I was for sure that there was going to be something fun to do with each character. But sadly, Steph's the only character visual in this game. So it kind of brings my rating down a little bit because there's a lack of characters. But one thing I do love is how they decided to end this, being in spring again, because the full year's gone around. And for the most part, the way they ended it is at that quintessential moment in the main game where Alex meets Steph for the first time, and just that, like, okay, I didn't understand the look in Steph's eyes right when I played the first game, but going through this DLC and seeing all the twists and the emotions that Steph went through, especially with the dating app constantly, and then that look at Alex and just that sheer look of intrigue in her face, like, it comes full circle that you finally understand the look. And honestly, it's a beautiful way to end the DLC. Nothing more, nothing less, just a pitch perfect way of ending it, and right at the events of the first episode of the main game. And it's a DLC that, again, through all my little bit of gripes of having no interaction with the other citizens of Haven Springs, it kind of being somewhat linear with just the 4 seasons, but take into account how beautiful the soundtrack is, how it actually builds on Stephanie's anxiety and her emotional issues throughout the whole game, of what she's gone through, what she's going through, how difficult it is, helping people with their own problems. It just feels like a therapy session in and of itself. And that's what Life is Strange is. It is a personal therapy session that you do have to pay for, but it just helps you with the emotion. And the main game does that too. So it doesn't feel like it's off or doing something off of what the main game does. And when I review the main game, I am going to be praising it to no end. So yes, Gamer K's final verdict for Life is Strange Wavelengths DLC is an 8 out of 10. It was going to be a 7 with all my little gripes, and being only 2 to 3 hours, I've given DLCs a lot more harsher punishments for being less. But when you add it all up, that this isn't trying to be something that's going to push forward the next game. This is just a basic scenario of to understand Steph. because she is one of the best characters in the Life is Strange series, and this shows. It's a beautiful DLC, even though it's super short and there's not much replay value. I mean, unless you just want to feel those emotions again and just have a great time with Steph in the DJ booth, because that's literally the best part of this DLC. The whole point is just, like I said, it's a therapy session that helps everyone out. And it's beautifully done, and it just shows the evolution of where the Life is Strange series is going. So, everyone at Deck 9, thank you again. Can't wait for the next one. And that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And join me next week where me and my best friend tackle the top list of a video year from last year of my Death Battle reviews, where it will be sin against sin. Villains versus heroes. We're gonna sin. Am I foreshadowing too much? I don't care. This is Gamer K, logging out.